So who are you guys?
I'm Jonathan Schmidt, and
Louis Donzis, sorry.
Yeah, and we're here in San Antonio getting
Right.
a tour of several companies, and we're here in the Rackspace building, which I heard you had some history in. Because it wasn't Rackspace.
it was built by DataPoint
Yeah.
back in the early 70s.
In fact, it's on Data Point Parkway,
Data Point
right?
Drive.
Data Point
Right, and I was vice president of R&D. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Tell me about that, because that's a different world, right? Just
Well,
briefly before
it's
we get
almost not, it's too much time. It created the Intel microprocessor chip. It was right here in this building. The architecture and the contract to Intel to build it. And it grew to 8,500 people in San Antonio and 12,000 worldwide, and then suffered what happened to most of the computer companies when the PCs came along.
Totally change, right?
Right.
If you don't change with the times, you're...
Well, we did. We founded another company.
Yep. And tell me about that company.
We
It's
founded
PerfTech, right?
Well, it was Performance Technology in 1985.
Yep.
And Louis was the major design and idea influence in the company, and it was sold to Nortel, Bay Networks actually, in 1996. And then we worked at Nortel until 2001, and then we founded this company, PerfTech.
Yep. And what do you guys do?
You want
No, please. Sure.
Well, we sell hardware to cable companies. Now, cable companies send you video, and they also give you high-speed internet. On the video side, they can put anything they want on your screen.
Yep.
They can have Monk come up here when you're watching the closer, or they can have your tornado warning at the bottom, or they can target you with a caller ID of who's calling you on your telephone, and soon they're going to be able to say, your set-top box is no longer going to be supported. You have 30 days to bring it back and swap it, or your bill's overdue. And they want to do the same thing to your PC when you're watching it. They want to say, you've got a very bad virus, because the high-speed data network is a huge, huge network. 10 million people, more than that with Comcast. And most of the connections are to homes, and the homes have networks. And the home networks can be damaging to the whole network.
Yeah.
And so they need some way to communicate to the subscribers who are sitting there in their PCs. They don't know their email for the most part.
Yep.
You don't use your cable company's email, do you?
Nope.
No. Do you ever look at the flyers in the bill? Nope. When they call you during dinner, do you
I
pick
don't
up?
even look at the bill because it's paid automatically.
when they call you, well, if your credit card is expired, okay, they need to tell you.
Yeah.
And you don't pick up the phone at dinner. So they want to be able to target. So considering these companies are huge, Louis and the development group designed something that can handle tens of millions of messages, individually targeted at specific times to show up on the screens of individual subscribers.
In the browser.
In the browser window. So if you're there on your PC in the browser without harming anything, if you're watching CNN, this little message can come up, and CNN, instead of going a foot below your screen, goes a foot and an inch. So you're not really disrupted.
Yeah.
And this little message can come up.
Now, I'm looking at some of the messages that you put up on the screen behind us and next to you. And you have things like emergency messages even. So if there's a tornado coming, you know, if a geek's sitting in their room, you know, they're not going to be listening to the radio or watching TV anymore, right? They're going to be playing on the internet.
What you need to do is seed a network or seed a university, seed enough people. And if you can get some with the TV and now most with the PC, you can get the neighborhood to know that there's a problem.
Yeah.
So going to your PC is very important. This particular application we have plugs right into the radio. They come over the you've heard that on the radio. That encodes the data, and we plug right into that and go out, and it covers just a targeted area. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
the other thing
so I don't get tornado warnings in California, and you don't get earthquake warnings
No,
either, right?
the exact
Of course, you're
same.
not going to get a warning on an earthquake. You'll just notice your computer go dead, and then whoa, the building's shaking.
Right.
So in that case, the equipment they already had to put that message on your TV screen, we plug into the same equipment. It generates a an HTML message that you see on your browser screen.
Now you guys sell this to the cable companies?
Sell to the cable companies. For example, you see the virus thing up there? It
Yep.
turns out that we were able to detect a lot of signatures of infected PCs, and those cause a lot of havoc. As a matter of fact, 95% of all the spam you get are coming from ordinary people who have a PC that's infected by a bot, and it sends out the spam. And we detect that. We block that PC from doing any more damage for just that. Everything else still works. And then put the message up there, and then there's a button where you can fix it. And it's all automated. You don't even have to call the support center.
Wow.
So we find problems and message you or tell you your bill's overdue. In Portugal, the dominant service plan for internet outside the US is a byte cap. You get like 5 gigs a month. And if you want 10 gigs, you got to pay more. And if you get the 5 gigs, you're put in the penalty box. Some countries you pay a lot more. Some countries they slow you down to like 10 baud. Okay. So the Portuguese found that they could not relate to the customer and upsell him if he's already in the penalty box because he's mad.
Yeah.
First use of our box was to sample the level of the usage for each subscriber. When they get to 85%, if it's not the day before the end of the month, they'll put a little message up telling them they'll give them a discount on an upsell, and they upsold 20% more and paid for the equipment.
Now, do you have software that needs to be loaded on my machine at home?
No, it works on a Mac, it'll work on an iPhone. If you're on a Wi-Fi, it'll work on any browser.
So you're just watching the network traffic coming through the cable company's network?
Well, yes. The device sits at the NOC.
And you don't put anything on my local box? You don't?
Nothing.
I don't have to load any software or anything like that?
That's right.
Oh, that's ingenious.
Thank you.
Because a lot of people won't load software, first of all. But,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But that's pretty ingenious. Now, what kind of, so you only deal with cable companies. You don't deal with a university. Could you do this for like a university? Because some of the emergency alert kind of things would be useful for a university.
Yeah,
or
university's not a bad application. We haven't, the bulk of our product has been made for carriers though, because in a typical corporate environment, knowing people's email addresses and so on isn't really a problem. A university is actually a better example almost of a smaller, internet, environment where the people are more anonymous.
Yep.
So it's conceivable. There's no reason it wouldn't work. The technology is agnostic of how the packets go through. It does its job one way or the other.
And what does this cost? How does the cable company pay you guys? Is it a percentage, or do they just pay a flat fee? Or
there are two ways. We either will sell it like normal routers and so on that they buy. They buy the equipment, they pay for support annually, and so on. More recently, we have offered it in some circumstances under a usage model where you pay by how many messages you send out. So it depends if you're looking for a capital expenditure or an operating expense.
Which depends on the business condition of the customer.
since you're a business leader here in San Antonio and have been for a long time, tell me what it's like here versus, let's say, Silicon Valley or Boston or somewhere. Or
I had these interviews back in the 70s when DataPoint was growing to 10,000 employees. And the magazines would come in at that time, Datamation. How can you be in San Antonio and attract talent? And I said, the quality of life is superb. It's amazing. We have the only, and still, the only city in the United States, I believe, with a nonprofit 24-hour-a-day classical station, nonprofit 24-hour-a-day NPR station, symphonies, wonderful art, magnificent quality of life. I would bring people in from DEC or Silicon Valley and spend a few days with them. Walk down to the Riverwalk, take them to a concert, show them the nice schools, happy kids, my happy kids. And it didn't take much. And they never left. As a matter of fact, our group has been together for 30 years. An RF engineer from Motorola came down from Chicago. We had a fellow from Toronto came down, and we've all been together. and we've stuck through all this time. It's a wonderful place to live.
Yeah. How do you create that culture that keeps people together? Because that's pretty rare in today's world. I mean, I've had 5 jobs in almost 7 years, right? So, you know, how do you create a culture where people want to stay with you?
That's a good question. You make sure everybody's having a good time and leave them alone.
That's a good point. Anything else you want to tell me about either the culture or your company or what you're doing?
Well, we're really having a good time, and we're selling quite a bit.
Yeah,
We've sold 1.5 million subscribers in Canada to Rogers. It's going to be a worldwide thing. Every telephone company on their DSL, which we haven't even started with, could use it. So it's, I hope.
Now, are you a private company or are you
Yes.
Okay. And looking to go IPO? Because this looks like it's going to get really hot really fast.
We're flexible.
Very flexible. As a matter of fact, the last time we thought we were going to go IPO, and then we had Bay Networks came in and demanded we sell it to them.
Oh.
Maybe not quite that abrupt, but
Is that like Microsoft coming and visiting you and Yahoo?
well, we actually did some business with Microsoft as well, but that's another story.
Of course, they put $46 billion on the table with the demand, so it was got their attention, didn't it?
I guess Jonathan's point is we went looking really to bring in a lot of marketing funds, and in the process we found a suitor rather than you know, a partner. So. It wasn't bad, so, you know.
We had some great technology, unusual technology, and Bay was a source of many thousands of salesmen on the street to sell it. And that's really what we needed to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
It's a really neat product, which you might not consider, you know,
No.
as a consumer, but hey, when that alert comes up and says you got a virus, it saved your butt.
Right. And we actually can now put Monk or something in the corner and float them around rather than a message. It's called a watermark. So like the CBSI.
Yep.
So we've actually, Lewis had just figured out how to do that. And it's down in the lower right-hand corner on the bottom. So we can put little monk or a little watermark or a little picture of a tornado, and you click on it and you can see the weather map as the evacuating routes. And so, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.